Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Maze. We are glad to have you with us. This is going to be MazeCast episode number 18, continuing our weekly tradition. Yes, we're still here.
Yep.
We are glad to have you with us. I'm the Master of Mazes, Carl, and this is my son, Stephen, the apprentice.
What up? What up?
And we are both happy to have you guys here. So let's jump right into things. What is new over at the Maze? Well, it's hopping. As we talked about last episode, we have currently 3 paid games going on right now. We have our continuing game with the Kingdom of Keshinar. But the one that happened last night that was a lot of fun was our Master and Apprentice game. We ran session number 2, and it was a blast.
Mm-hmm.
The party is basically on a quest to retrieve an item that is supposed to help locate people that you're not necessarily all that familiar with. So the party took this quest on to make a little cash because they're running low on inventory in their charlatan shop. And Stephen, I'm going to take it from there. Tell me what happened on the player side of things.
Yeah, well, first, like a little shameless plug here. Recap for session one is up on the website, and session two will be
It
soon.
is.
It'll be out soon. But just kind of a quick
Yeah.
overview is we got into a sticky situation at the end of session one with a band of orcs that jumped us. We dispatched them pretty easily, and after tracking them a ways, we came to another orc conflict, and then eventually came to what we imagined is their encampment, where we found the necklace. We got into a huge fight there. Um, Honestly, the game's been so fun. The trio of the players, me and my buddy Josh and Nathan, all kind of play off each other well. Nathan's kind of
Yeah.
this, like Dad said, a charlatan. He runs probably a shady mystic shop, but we're not entirely sure yet. And Josh's character
Probably.
is a fighter, and I am a kind of a tactician rogue, is what I coin it as. I'm not necessarily
Yeah.
an upfront or stealth fighter, really. I'm more of a utilitarian or utility based rogue, which is kind of fun so far. Smoke bombs, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
That was good.
Um,
Yeah.
and we work for Nathan's character, so we're on this quest for this amulet to make some gold, and we're kind of uncovering this plot that kind of has Neverwinter in the balance in terms of at least two, possibly more factions vying for control of the city, which has been a lot of fun. So recap one is up. I'm doing the recaps from the perspective of my character, who's kind of a dick. So I had a little fun with that and tried to make it a little interesting and not just me recounting things, but recounting my character's perspective of things, which kind of
I like it.
it kind of makes the recaps a little more fun for me to write. Um,
Yeah.
so session one is up. Session two will be up probably the next day or two. So look out for that. But we're having a ton of fun. So
Yeah. I think writing it from the player's perspective will make for very interesting reading.
mhm.
I know when I do the recaps for like the Kingdom of Keshinar and stuff, it's just basically me as the DM recounting what happened at the table. So while it can be enjoyable as a narrative, it doesn't really give you insight into what the characters are thinking. So I may lean into that. Stephen is a great idea. Maybe have one of my players. I'm sure Mandy, who plays Zarina in our Kingdom of Keshinar game, she might be willing to write up a recap for us. I know she likes doing that sort of thing, and she's got some free time. So we may look into that. So look out for that. We did have some shorts up on YouTube where we
Mhm.
kind of were streaming the game basically for our own recording purposes,
Mhm.
taking some funny bits and some interesting bits out, and then streaming those on YouTube for you guys. They're not in the short section; they're actually in the video section, but you can check those
Mhm.
out. We'll have a link for a couple of them in our down in our show notes, so you guys can
Yeah.
check those out. They are a lot of fun.
Mhm.
There is some comedy, there is some seriousness to it too, but it is a lot of fun. We're having a great time with it.
Yeah,
So,
the shorts from
um,
session two will probably be up in the next few days. Unfortunately,
they're,
we can't make them shorts because they're not. Um,
they're
I
not
guess
filmed
they're not filmed as like
vertically.
yeah, vertically. So YouTube just does, even though the video meets all the other criteria, it's like this is not a short. So I'm just uploading
Yeah,
them to the video section just so they're out there. Um,
yeah.
Maybe eventually
It's
we
weird.
can work it
I don't
out.
know. I'm sure one of you that are more familiar with YouTube can explain to us why, if you do a short, it can only be if it's filmed vertically, not horizontally. I don't know
Yeah, I
why,
mean
but that's the
honestly, I
case.
think a lot of it is just YouTube wants it to be like cell phone recordings and like very like rudimentary style. And again, I'm sure I know that I've seen people post like legitimately recorded gameplay footage from their PC and they have it on there. There's probably some software somewhere that we could, retrofit it to be
Yeah.
a short, and that's fine. We'll get there. This is our first. I mean, it's literally like our first 3 shorts we've ever live filmed. So we're still
Yep.
figuring it out too. You know, we're just playing with it, having fun.
Yep, sure are. Speaking of having fun, the Order of the Flagon, or Order of the Tankard, we still haven't settled on the name. The session 1 is scheduled for this coming Saturday, February the 7th. That'll be filmed in the afternoon. Well, it won't be filmed, it will be played in the afternoon, but I will get some photos and have a recap up of that on Sunday the 8th for you guys to take a look at. I've got character art that has been coming in over the weekend for my 4 characters, so I'm pretty excited about that. Got their backstories in their character sheets, so I am deep into the prepping and planning stages for my plot hooks. I've got 2 done. I'm working on a 3rd right now to see which way they want to go, because they do want a sandbox style game. So I've got some different things for them to kind of bite into, see which path they want to follow.
Can you give us a
But
quick?
look for photos.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Can you give us a quick rundown on like their characters and their classes, like really quick, like
Sure.
just fly
Sure.
through?
So Pat, who is our host, we play in his basement because he's got a game room set up down there. He is playing a dwarven war cleric, a cleric of the war domain, who has a real hatred of undead. His clan basically, they kind of got down a little too deep. Instead of unleashing a Balrog, they unleashed a tomb of undead, which kind of streamed into their hold and kind of slaughtered a lot of their people. So he has been run out of his ancestral home and would like to go back at some point. We have another character, JT, who's playing Milos, the wizard. His wizard is a guy who grew up in a fishing village, did not have much of a didn't have much of a future ahead of him. So he decided he would be a good fisherman, but then found out that he actually has a habit or a skill for magic. So his parents sent him off to make something of himself. So he's a wizard. We also have a fighter class in our group. That is the guy with the least experience. His name is Chris, but he's going to be playing a fighter, and it looks like he's going to have a lot of fun with what he's cooked up and sent to me. And then we have Matt, who is normally a forever DM, but he's actually gotten a chance by playing with me to step out from behind the screen and be a player for a change. And he is going to play a monk of the Shadow Order. So that's going to be neat, especially after I got his background. He gave me a lot to work with for plot hooks and people from his past to kind of creep into the game and make their appearances and make themselves known. So pretty excited about what's coming up there. So again, we'll play that on the 7th. We'll have a recap and some photos up on the 8th. And be on the lookout for those. We'll have them on our website, and we'll have a few photos and a brief just kind of rundown on Instagram if you guys want to check it out over there. We'll
I
have links in
figured I figured
show notes for
the DM player would give you a lot of plot hooks to use. I feel like
Oh yeah, yeah.
as a player, I feel like I went like so overboard with my background and stuff that I sent you.
But you didn't. I mean, it was basically, if you compress it down from the font that you used
uh,
and where you lined up your paragraph, it'd be about 3/4 of a page. So that's really not
okay,
a lot.
okay,
I've had players that have written me 5 and 6 pages.
okay. Because
With
I mean, I
small
feel
with
like
small
maybe
font.
it was just my group because like I was like, this is where I'm from. This is what happened to my family. This is what's going on. These are things that like haunt me. These are things I don't like. All this stuff, and then like
Well, I mean, if you had to guess right now between you, Josh, and Nathan, who do you think wrote the shortest backstory?
Nathan.
100%. So he kept it on his character sheet in that little tiny block on page 3,
Mm-hmm.
where you can put in character backstory, and it takes up maybe a quarter of that space.
Yeah,
So
I
not a
wanted I
lot there to
wanted like
work with.
enough. I wanted enough where you could look at it and go, "Oh, that's I could throw that in later on, or I could do
Yeah,
this or that." I wanted enough there,
yeah.
but I didn't want it to be like so ridiculous that you were like looking at it, and be like, "Oh Jesus, never mind," and like moved on.
No, no, no.
Um,
There's plenty there to work with. Josh has got plenty to work with. Nathan gave me some things to work with, but I mean, the whole selling point for Nathan's character is he is a charlatan and he's running a BS magic shop, and the whole fact that it's become comical that you guys have this whole running gag with Geralt, the guy who runs the legitimate magic shop in the area,
hey,
is hilarious. It's
you
hilarious.
say it's legitimate.
So let's talk about our Kingdom of Keshinar campaign. We
Yep.
did play that on Friday. We got the session 2 part 1 recap up today. So that is up over on the website. We'll have a link in the show notes for that. The party's having a lot of fun. It's basically 3 weeks have passed since the events of session 1. The party is basically kind of settled back into their lives when their father turns up missing. He's overdue back from a business trip to a nearby city. So the kids decide to go off in search of him, though they've never really been outside the city. So this is kind of their first foray into the deserts. So they had some misadventures. There's a little intrigue and some mystery worked in. And the three personalities I have at the table are making it so easy for the intrigue and things that it's kind of basically writing itself. I don't have to do a lot. So
Perfect.
it's been a lot of fun. So we've got that recap up over on our website if you guys want to check that out. But let's get into some TTRPG news. Steven and I were talking about this just prior to recording tonight, and I saw that there is a Secret Wars expansion that is coming out at the end of summer, so Q3 this year, for the Marvel RPG. I used to play the Marvel RPG from TSR way back in the day when it was in the box set. I still have the box sets on my shelf. So I'm not familiar with the new box set, but apparently I think this Secret Wars expansion coming out right after the movie is probably kind of tied into the movie because Doom plays prominently into this expansion. It's going to be the Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Doom basically gets godlike powers, destroys the multiverse, builds Battle Planet, and then has a group of villains and a group of heroes fight out on it. If you guys are familiar with Secret Wars, then you kind of are familiar with what the whole premise of that is. But I think that's going to be a tie-in to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it looks like fun. I may want to get back into the Marvel RPG at some point because I know I had a lot of fun as a player and as a GM playing that. So, especially since back then I was a super comic nerd and I knew the lore for the Marvel Universe up to that point inside and out because I was probably getting 30 or 40 subscriptions a month. But I've been out of the comic book scene for a while now, so we'll have to see. Stephen, that book is going to have 256 pages, by the way. That's not going to be a small book. That's going to be a chunky book. It's going to be a big resource, I think. So be on the lookout for that. August 18th is the release date for that.
Gotcha.
Stephen, you wanted to talk about some Elden Ring.
Yeah, Elden Ring is getting, so everyone knows Elden Ring. It's FromSoftware's biggest hit. I think it's, I love Bloodborne. Everybody knows that. But I think it's safe to say that Elden Ring is their biggest hit ever. It just hit, you know, it hit like this nice fantasy setting that a lot of people, like Bloodborne's kind of a very abrasive setting that not a lot of people, like casual gamers and even casual, you know, nerds are not going to resonate with. It's a Lovecraftian, it's cosmic, well, it's, you know, it's cosmic horror and it's very dark and, you know, Elden Ring's more like Lord of the Rings, you know, more like something that's, oh, there's dragons, there's zombies, there's this, there's that. Not to mention the game is just fantastic. It's probably one of the top 10 games of my lifetime. I've beat it 4 or 5 times over. I downloaded a mod called the Seamless Co-op mod that allowed you to play with 4 people seamlessly with cross progression, so you could all kill bosses together and you don't get kicked out of each other's worlds and any of that crap that's in the game. I beat that mod twice with 2 different groups of people. Nightreign is it was kind of interesting when it came out, the game itself. It came out and it was like this roguelike RPG with like pre-made characters you could play. And I think a lot of people thought like, you know, it was DLC for Elden Ring. It was kind of a spin-off game. Josh has, I wish, you know, Josh has played that game a lot more than I have and had a lot of fun with it. However, I remember thinking when I heard about the game, it's like, oh, you play and each day, when the day ends, you fight a boss. And then if you beat that boss, you get to go to the next day and it gets harder and harder and harder. And if you lose, you die to a boss, you reset at day 1, you have low gear, your character's low level again, all that. And I remember hearing that and thinking to myself, that'd be a really fun like board game or tabletop game, that format. Because if you think about it, like the replayability is like infinite with something like that. Well, lo and behold, somebody else thought the same thing that has a lot more money than me because they just made a tabletop game for Elden Ring Nightreign. It looks very sick. I don't think it was in Warlock Magazine on January 29th. So it's fairly new. I don't know if there's a release date or anything like that. But
I didn't see one.
I'll include the article for everybody.
Spring of 2026. So supposedly first quarter this year.
Well, I will say there was apparently some.
That's Nightreign. That's Nightreign's coming out.
Nightreign, yeah. So hopefully, you know, this isn't going to be something that takes like forever. But I will say, the TTRPG for Nightreign is coming from the same folks that made D&D in Japan. So I guess WotC commissioned people to make Japanese tabletop games in Japan using the D&D license. This is coming from those guys that did all that.
Okay.
So this is not just like a fanfic like thing. This is a very large studio that is going to be publishing this. Their track record is very good. Elden Ring as a setting is so awesome. So I'm really excited to see this. I know we could get Josh to sit down and play this in like a minute. And I think this kind of goes into what we're always talking about, where the Elden Ring or the Dark Souls franchise, even though I kind of see it in the same vein as D&D, there's a lot of people that hold those games very special and very close to their heart. And they might not necessarily be Pathfinder or D&D fans, but something like this, they see this in a Target, and they sit down and they play this. That's a new TTRPG player that we never would have reached before. So I think it's important.
Something like that in Target, but I think Target has signed an exclusive deal with Hasbro, and that's why
they have. Yeah, that's why you only see like horrified D&D and stuff there.
Which is sad, because there's a lot more Targets out there than there are brick and mortar.
Well, I will say, Amazon exists, and people buy FromSoftware and Elden Ring and stuff. All that stuff, all that merch on Amazon. This might pop up now.
I'll tell you what. I go to my local store first to see if they have it, because I want to support my brick and mortar stores. But if I go there and they don't have it, and I have to have it, like if it's something I need for an upcoming game or something like that, I'll go to Amazon and buy it, because I can have it in my house in 2 or 3 days.
Exactly.
And I can probably get it. Most of the time, if I'm careful, I can get it 15 or 20% off of the manufacturer suggested retail price. So that's always an option, guys. So keep that open.
Yep.
Speaking of keeping your options open, Fallout is going to be doing a solo RPG called Fallout Wasteland Wanderer. It sounds interesting to me. I have noticed recently a lot of uptick in games online through Kickstarter, BackerKit, things like that. There you go. And through things like the YouTube content creator side of things, where people are doing a lot of solo adventures. There are some games that are specifically set up for it, but I've seen where people are taking Shadowdark and running Shadowdark solo adventures, D&D solo adventures. So, I mean, let's face it, Fallout, you do start out as a solo adventurer.
Yep.
You pick up a few companions along the way, but then a lot of the times you outdistance those companions and you're just in the way.
Yep.
So I think it's kind of neat that they have a solo adventure coming out, and I'm looking forward to it. So it's going to be set in the Fallout universe, obviously, with journaling and narrative-driven mechanics. It's going to be available digitally and be heading to physical release this April. So this apparently is something that's been in the works for a minute. So
yeah,
that's not from Modiphius, is it, Steven?
I don't believe so. This is from a different studio, as far as I know.
I'm surprised Modiphius didn't jump on that, because those of you who've watched or listened to me or are familiar with my Instagram know that I love Modiphius's Fallout TTRPG. It's an amazing game. It definitely has the feel of the game to it, and I absolutely enjoy it.
Well, I will say, I don't know if it's from Modiphius as a company, but Modiphius lead writer, Ben Monder, is the one that's writing this.
Okay.
So he's writing it.
It might be a side project.
Yeah, I think it might be a passion project or something. I don't see their name anywhere else on this.
We'll dig into it a little bit for you guys and find out, but I don't believe it's linked with Modiphius.
It doesn't look like it, not officially.
Yeah. Steven, you had an article here about the new Unearthed Arcana playtests that just came out?
Yeah. There's, I mean, as always, I feel like every time I turn around, there's something new with playtesting, and these Unearthed Arcanas are always evolving. I'm on D&D's site a lot these days, and I feel like every time I go on D&D Beyond, there's something new next to the Unearthed Arcanas. But it looks like 4 core classes: the Monk, Paladin, Rogue, Warlock. They're each getting this interest in magic and some more changes to some subclasses for them. I think the Paladin is probably the big takeaway here with the Spell Guard, the Oath of the Spell Guard path. That one looks like, online at least, that's what a lot of people are talking about. This is going to shake up the meta the most. There's the Magic Stealer from the Rogue, which me and Dad talked about. That seems really strong.
That seems really strong. For a character class, it's already strong.
Well, and not just that. I think the common perception of D&D 5e is players are so strong anyways. So I feel like having these subclasses that are the power creep is just so high.
It can be.
Yeah. I mean, just the Spell Thief alone, being able to steal spell slots and restore them to your party, that, if played right, nullifies major conflicts in the game. Like that could just
Well, I
straight up
mean,
sandbag a
one
boss.
of the one of the big drawbacks for characters, especially if they're not more experienced characters,
Mm-hmm.
is resource management. So when
Mm-hmm.
you are slave to spell slots,
Mm-hmm.
which, let's face it, all of your magic casters basically are. When you run out of those spell slots, all you've got left is cantrips.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's not poo-pooing cantrips, because there are some great cantrips out there. But, if you're not careful with your resources and you blow through them all, and you don't get an opportunity to get a short or a long rest in, then you're without resources. So your glass cannons now are just basically paper tigers.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a thief in the group who can steal spell slots or thrown at your group, take those spell slots and give them to other players,
Disgusting.
now you're going to take. It's going to be disgusting, because now you're going to have characters. Well, I don't need to worry about spell source management, because I've got a rogue over here that's going to steal his for me and just feed them to me. So I think it takes an already pretty much broken class like the rogue and makes it worse.
I think rogue is definitely again, I'm playing it not optimally, but I think if you play a rogue by to the letter optimal, they're pretty, I don't want to say uninteresting, but they're definitely, it's hard for them to feel any kind of real adversity in a game because they're just so strong. And I wanted to highlight the warlock subclass is called the Vestige Patreon. Apparently, part of the new mechanic of this subclass is that you can manifest your patron god as the warlock onto the battlefield.
Yes.
As a companion.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it if it's just
maybe like an avatar, like it's like an avatar of your patron god or something.
Avatar, some sort of a low-level aspect or something that maybe levels up with you. I don't have a problem with that, but I mean, yeah, you're not going to be calling down an avatar of your god. If you are, the game is broken beyond repair.
Yeah, so I mean,
I need to read up a little bit more on it, but we don't play 2024, so it's
yeah. I mean, as always, I think with these things is if it sounds interesting to you, get the content and make it fit your game, right? So I would say, if it fits your game, make it fit your game, in a way that makes it fun for you as the DM and the players.
Yeah,
I don't.
This is one of those. This is one of those points where a DM needs to sit down with his player. They need to talk about the concept, and they need to agree with how it's going to play mechanically within the game, so that both of them can have fun with it, but it's not going to be unbalanced or overshadow other characters at the table.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, like just the warlock and the thief alone, the spellbreaker or the paladin subclass sounds fun. The rogue and the warlock to me, they just sound like they're so overpowered. Like I personally would not find them interesting, and I'm speaking from a player perspective. Like that's kind of like a get out of jail free card for me as a player. And me personally, if I have a get out of jail free card, it kind of takes some of the like perfect example. Last night I rolled like 3 1s and 2 of them were in like very dire situations. If I just had a way to be like, oh well, none of this matters because I spawn, I'm going to spawn like my demigod onto the map and he's just going to win this fight for me. Well, it's like, well then the rolls and like your decision making, whether it's good or bad, it's almost like secondary to just some OP like daily spell you could just drop and be like, well, guess what? None of this matters. Boom. And it's like, okay. Like,
I would like to say I like the flavor of the Oath of the Spellguard. I like the fact that it's set up to play. It's set up to play like a bodyguard or companion class to a mage.
Yeah.
You basically are there to kind of buff him, protect him from incoming spells and things like that. And then the two of you kind of work in tandem. The first thing I thought of when I read that and I watched it, I follow a guy on YouTube called Insight Check. Great guy, does a lot of great content, going through spell, doing the different subclasses and the different Unearthed Arcana. But he did talk about it, and the first thing I thought about when he was talking about it was the Warden and the Aes Sedai from the Wheel of Time. You've got a magic user, and then she has a fighter class that's basically there to protect them from harm. So they can do what they've got to do. They don't have to worry about the battlefield because I've got somebody doing that for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the feel I got from this. And I definitely think that's a great vibe. There's a lot of role play potential there. So yeah, I look forward to somebody playing that at my table. If we ever get around to playing 2024 rules, I may adapt the Oath of Path of the Spellguard into 2014 rules.
And that was like the takeaway I wanted to say is like, if these sound cool to you, just because the paper that it comes on says 2024 rules does not mean you cannot adapt it to anything. I think part of 100%. Why tabletop games are so why I'm starting to learn how much I like them is
Mm-hmm.
because it's really like the world is your oyster for real in tabletop games.
Yeah.
Because in
Yeah.
video games, again, and not just video games, but really in any kind of media outside of this, where player agency is not baked into this experience, like you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
hit walls, and there's just nothing you can do about it in a video game, in a movie,
Right.
in a book, anywhere. But on a
Yeah.
tabletop, especially if you know the DM like my dad, I could be like, "Yo, I really want to play this, and this is in Pathfinder. This is in
Yeah.
2024 rules. This is in a third
Yeah.
party that has nothing to do with WotC." We could sit down and he could go, okay, well, I could see how this would work if you were from A and then your class is B and this is your backstory is C. Well, then we can make this work. So
Right.
like it kind of just like takes the training wheels off and the guards off, the bowling alley, if you will, and you can kind of just chuck balls and be like, okay, I want to play this crazy class out of midfield, out of
Hmm.
nowhere, and make it work in this game in the Forgotten Realms, and you can do that. And I think that's kind of
Okay.
the main like it's kind of scary when you're getting into D&D. Like Josh was telling me he was scared. Like I don't really like we've talked about this before. I don't want to rehash it, but I will
Yeah.
say like that's the fun of this is that you can kind of just it's
Mhm.
like you mold it into what you want it to do, and there's not a lot of hobbies in the world that allow you with so much power to create your own experience.
Right. Right. Yeah. And the fun thing is Josh is now the most excited to play every week.
Oh my
So
dude, like I mean, like I work with Josh like every day, so every day all we're talking about it's like he's like him and I are big gamers too. Well, we have been in the past, but recently it's like we're struggling to find a game that we really want to play other than Baldur's Gate because we're talking about is
right.
D&D and what we want to do and how we would have done things differently. And it's 1 a.m. last night, and I was like, oh my god, I had an inspiration point I didn't use. God damn it! And like we're talking about that, and like
Yeah.
and it's like it's just our interests have just so aligned and so engulfed into D&D right now. And it's super
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I knew I was gonna like it, but I have been like very sucked back in.
Yeah.
So I do want to say the last subclass on this Unearthed Arcana is a Mystic Arts Monk, which looks to combine spell casting with the martial prowess of a monk normally. Um,
I mean, I
that
don't know. I think of like the Shaolin monks
I
from
was about
like
to
the
say, yeah, that
like the
flavor adds
television
up. That
series.
that seems like it fits, and I think that's probably
Like
not
Liu
as
Kang and his ability to throw little
well.
firebolts
Yeah,
and
and
stuff
if,
like that.
if you're
That's
a
kind of
WoW fan like me, it's like think of like the monks and like the Pandaren monks from Mists of Pandaria, where they have kind
yeah.
of like some earth and wind magic that they can cast along with their spells or their
Yeah.
attacks. So that sounds fun.
Yeah.
So again, if you want to play a
It
monk,
does.
but maybe kind of delve a little bit into more magic, maybe that'll give you
Yeah.
some stuff
Give you
there.
some range. Give you some range combat. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's talk about a little CCG news. We don't have a lot this week, but the one thing that popped up on my radar that kind of surprised me is the fact that two of Hasbro's shareholders have basically launched they were launching a lawsuit against Hasbro, stating that Hasbro has printed way too much product for Magic the Gathering, that they have misrepresented its strategy to the shareholders, and that this is all according to a federal lawsuit that was filed on January 21st of this year. We'll have a link for that in the show notes if you guys want to read a little bit more.
Hmm.
But I watched a brief video on YouTube this past Thursday where they talked a little bit about it, and it was it was mind-boggling to me that these shareholders are basically saying they printed too much product, they've eroded relationships not only with the fans but also with business partners and things to the nature where it's going to financially impact the shareholders.
Hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see where this lawsuit lands. I imagine Hasbro, with all the money they have, will probably just settle out of court, but we'll see. So just something for you guys to have on your radar because Hasbro is they're not the best at dealing with their fans. Apparently, they're not the best at dealing with their shareholders either. So
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just
um,
kind of the more ripples of the tidal wave that is we're just going to print universes beyond and not listen to our own fan base for a long time. And apparently I mean, if the fans get mad enough, it's going to make your investors start asking questions, and it looks like instead of asking questions, they are suing them. So
well, I mean, when you shareholders are there for one reason, that's to make money. And if you impact that money, they're going to bounce back at you. So I'm not surprised. So
nope.
anyway, we've got some Kickstarter, some backer kit news. Steven, you wanted to talk a little bit about a new Tainted Grail TTRPG.
Yeah, I don't know how many people know of the Tainted Grail IP, but there's a video game out. It's a Souls-like, kind of like Elden Ring. I wouldn't call it like Elden Ring. It is a hardcore RPG hack and slash game. Tainted Grail: Fall of Avalon, which is a great game. I think honestly it kind of gets overshadowed by a lot of other games, but it's such a good game.
Right.
Um, I had no idea there's a tabletop game that's been out, and they're releasing a new module called Life and Death in Avalon. It's got 8
Okay.
new adventures. It's got a bunch of new bestiary add-ins, all kinds of quality of life improvements. It's kind of like Arthurian legend meets D&D, like very high fantasy stuff. A lot of the creatures
Right.
are super fun. So if you know of the IP already, this is a home run for you. If you're looking for something D&D adjacent that maybe goes in a different direction, it's out. It's got a ton of content already, and this new module looks huge. I will post some pictures about kind of what some of the new content is, the new monsters, the new models. They've got miniatures already for it as well that look really fun. So
Wow.
I will drop
Okay.
that in there for y'all to check out.
I immediately thought of Pendragon when I read the
Oh yeah,
word Avalon.
that's a great call out.
Yeah. Yeah, Pendragon's a good game. We talked about it a few episodes back where their 40th anniversary is coming up, so they're re-releasing the box set. So that's something you guys can have on your radar too. But let's get into some pop culture news. Steven is pretty excited about some news about Apple making an acquisition recently. Steven, what's that
Hmm.
about?
Well, Apple bought the rights to adapt any of Sanderson's Cosmere stories. Many of his series are considered Cosmere. That's Stormlight Archives, Way of Kings, Mistborn series, all of it. They bought the rights
Mhm.
to make movies and TV shows. Um,
Wow.
Sanderson has hinted before that he has basically an entire script written for a movie. Um,
Hmm.
so the first Mistborn book is The Last Empire. I believe he says he already has a script written. I don't know if that means a show or a movie or what, but hopefully that means if this happened already, if he's got a script done, all they got to worry about is casting, filming. It maybe has like a pretty quick turnaround in terms of how fast the rights get done versus the show coming out. I've said for years, I think that one of the first posts I put on the site was like, "Hey, if you're into Lord of the Rings, The Way of Kings is an incredible story." And like,
I,
you
I,
know, a
I
year
actually
later,
got a copy. I got a copy of the book. It's
it's
sitting on my
incredible. It's
shelf waiting for me to read it.
so
I haven't
good,
gotten
bro.
around to it yet. I'm
Mistborn
going to
is
check her out.
awesome
But
as well. Just anything we can get. I mean, because I feel like, after Game of Thrones failed, well, I don't want to say failed, but like after the last season just left
it
everybody
went
kind of,
out on a pretty weak note.
yeah. So like I feel in like I hear that I know House of the Dragon is fairly decent, but that has a lot of intrigue and a lot of the House of the Dragon is really not. It doesn't translate well to people that don't like Game of Thrones. Like if you don't like
Right.
Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon is like a less good Game of Thrones because Jon Snow's not in it, so nobody cares.
Right.
But like
Right.
and Rings of Power, obviously, even though I try so hard to find things in that show to like, and there are some things I like. There's just a
There's some
lot.
things I like.
There's a lot that they
Yeah,
just kind of take the canon and throw it in the trash. I would
they really
love
do.
for something like Mistborn, which to a lot of people is going to be an unknown. They're not going to know what Mistborn is. They've never read the books. I think this is like a show that could come out and really blow people's minds, especially if
Yeah.
Sanderson's closely involved, which it sounds like he's going to be. Um,
Right.
and honestly, Apple TV in general has done pretty good things. I mean, the show C was incredible. Um, a lot. I mean, they're not heavily. I guess that you don't really see a lot of ads for shows on Apple TV. Is my biggest problem.
You
Um,
don't. I don't have Apple TV, but I get a lot of ads for it, so
yeah.
it's something that we may check out in the
Well,
future.
I will say C was like one of the best like original shows I've seen in a long time. No pun intended. And it was
Okay.
so good. There's some other shows. There's one with Rebecca Ferguson. I can't remember the name of it. It's a sci-fi show that was excellent. I can't remember the name of it. But
Okay.
anyways, my main point is if Netflix got the rights to Mistborn, I would instantly be mad
Oh yeah.
because it's just like, oh, here we go, Um,
Well, they're heavily involved with everything that is going to come underneath the Netflix brand,
yeah,
and they have a tendency. I mean, they hit some home runs, but they
they
have a
have.
tendency to have a few things fall flat.
Yeah,
So
I'm rewatching. Or I say I'm rewatching. I've read the books, but I haven't seen the show. But Shadow and Bone on Netflix, which has Ben Barnes in it.
Shadow and Bone was fun.
The
I
show's
just
good so
finished
far.
up the Yeah, I just finished up the Abandons, which is from Kurt Sutter, the guy who
I've
wrote
seen
Sons of
that.
Anarchy.
Yeah, I've seen that, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
I've seen
I
the
binged
trailer.
I binged the first season, 8 episodes. episodes, and it did not disappoint. So,
Okay.
and that's a Netflix series.
Well, either way, very exciting there. I can't wait for more news on that because I can't think of another fantasy series that is actively being written that deserves a faithful adaptation to the screen.
Okay.
I don't know of another one.
All right. Well, talk to us a little bit about Highguard. You got something here about Highguard in our
So, Highguard. It is gaming's biggest controversy right now. What we pride ourselves on here is like not necessarily jumping on a bandwagon, and just the game came out. It was it's not ready, as many games are not ready. And the biggest complaint I heard from a lot of people, two things were: one was on day one the server stability was bad, which again, day one games that's kind of run of the mill now, unfortunately.
Battlefield, Call of Duty, yeah.
And then the next one is, the maps were fairly large. And this game, my main complaint of this game is just how the game mode it's cool and it's fun and it's interesting and it shakes up a lot of the standard gameplay of a first-person shooter. But for people that are not, for casual players, it's going to be a lot. Because it basically combines like 3 game modes into one. You start the game, and it's 3v3, and you're fighting AI enemies on the map. And you build up some resources. It's kind of like a base building, kind of like a StarCraft thing. And then from there, you fight the enemy team in like a Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty competitive FPS kind of mode. And then the last phase of the game is you like destroy the enemy's base and you arm a bomb and blow their base up. This is all happening on a large map with AI enemies. And also 3 players per team that are like, they all have abilities. It's kind of like Overwatch or Apex Legends, which makes sense because that's where a lot of these Wildlight Studios is a lot of Apex Legends and Titanfall developers, which are both from Respawn.
Okay.
So for like a new player that's like, this game's free to play, which is going to attract a lot of players that are new because there's no cost to entry. They just see it online, they try it. It's a complex game mode. There's a lot happening on the screen. There's a lot of objectives happening, and you might be confused. Wait, I thought we were defending our base, and now I got to go over here and fight these enemies, even though there's AI guys over here. I don't understand. I think it's a lot going on, and hopefully there's ways that they can maybe add some clarity, like role clarity and kind of game clarity. But they did, after the initial kind of reaction, they did add a 5v5 mode. And a buddy of mine, Christian, who's a very devout gamer, he plays everything, I feel like. He says the 5v5 mode is much better. It solves a lot of the problems where it's like you're on this big map and you're kind of wandering around. You don't really know what's happening or where people are. Now there's 2 more players per team. They're talking about an 8v8 mode, which might help. But like I said, the characters are kind of like, it's kind of like a hero shooter where they have abilities and then an ultimate ability. There's mounts because the map is so big. There's like people riding horses around, but like it's a sci-fi game, so there's like guns and stuff. So it's just like, it seems like they had a cool idea. It seems like 5 people had a cool idea for different games, and then they just combined them into one game. And that's not an undoable thing. I mean, they can wrangle it and kind of get to a cohesive thought and make a game that's fun, because everyone says the gameplay's good, which is basically the only thing that's important right now, is that the game is fun to play. If your game is not fun to play, you don't have a game. So at least they have that, and they can kind of, okay, we have a fun to play game, now what's the pain points, and we solve those one by one, kind of in order of which one is the hardest thing to overcome for new players. But I'm glad they added a 5v5 mode. I'm glad that it's free to play, because a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people are complaining, oh, the server stability, and oh this, oh that. Well, the game's free. Like, if the game costs $30, $40, $50, $60 and it was unfinished and all these things were wrong, I'm with you. I would be like, this is ridiculous. It's unacceptable. No.
Yeah.
But like, the game is free. It's a new studio. Now, there are veterans there, but it's a new studio that are all kind of culminating a bunch of different ideas from a bunch of different games to make a game that they wanted to make. If you want to play it, I say why not try it, especially with the 5v5 mode. It's free. Like, if you join in and you're like, this isn't for me, then just log out and uninstall the game. Like, what I really don't like is like this culture online that like, there's this groupthink where if somebody doesn't like the game, they go on Reddit and they're like, this game sucks. And then now there's 500 people reading that going, yeah, he's right. And then and then it's like the Steam reviews went from like, the game is so new that there's no reviews, to the game went to almost mostly negative in like a day. And I'm gonna be honest, dude. There's games on Steam right now that I think suck, and they have like mostly positive reviews, and I'm just like, I don't understand how anybody plays this. And again, my
Right.
buddy Christian, he's like a game elitist, and he's like, I have games right now installed on my computer that are not as good as High Guard, and I like people are just like hating on the game. Um,
Yeah, I mean that's the sad thing is there's kind of this bandwagon culture online, especially Reddit. Reddit's a dumpster fire. I stay off that website because there's just so much negativity there. So it's sad that people feel the need to jump on a game and give it crap reviews, especially when it's new and it's free. Give them a chance to get some player feedback, figure out what's wrong, and then give them an opportunity to fix it. If they don't fix it, then by all means, light the torches, grab the pitchforks, and let's go storm the castle.
yeah, I mean,
In the meantime, give some time to fix it.
yeah, I think like I think people need to kind of reset their brain and go, okay, this game is not for me. Let me close it, and I'm done with it for now. Maybe I'll check it out later. Instead of like,
Yeah, I'll check
I
it
hate
out.
this
They
game.
fixed it.
Yeah, I hate this game. I'm gonna hate play it and tell all my friends that it sucks, and I'm gonna go online and talk shit about it, and I'm gonna tell the devs that they should all quit and their product sucks. And it's like this game is free to play. Like, again, I know that's not like they can just make it free to play and get away with anything, but like the whole server instability, like these guys are building the game. To me, if a game is free, you're kind of signing like an unspoken NDA, or not an NDA, but you're signing like an unspoken contract where you're like, this game is free to play, you're dropping it in
Yeah.
early access or whatever. Like, you should assume that there's going to be like, oh, the servers are kind of laggy, oh, this is happening, especially in a free to play game, because every player can just play it. There's not a $50 paywall anymore, so they're inviting every player in. So I would just say
100%.
maybe have a little grace here and try it. And if it's not for you, leave the game and just tell your buddies, hey, I tried it, it's not there for me yet, it's not exactly what I'm looking for, and move on. Like, we don't all have to just like get the pitchforks out and run them into the windmill and set it on fire every time there's a bad game. And I know, like, Concord was a bad game, everyone's calling this Concord too. Concord failed because the game was uninteresting, and the developers said if you didn't like it, you were a Marxist psycho. Like, the developers were
Nice.
cringe. That's why Concord failed, because when people found out that the Concord developers were a bunch of psychopaths, they hated it. So this is not that.
Sure.
Don't compare it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't compare it. So let's talk about something a little more positive. Let's talk about the Fallout TV series. You have caught up. Have
Mm-hmm.
you watched episode 7 of season 2?
Is that the one that came out this past Friday?
Yes.
I have not seen that one. I've seen all the other
Okay,
ones.
that's the only one I have not seen yet. I'm going to watch that tonight when we get off of here. But I am liking season 2. I like the Ghoul character. I think the Mr. House character is being done perfect. We're not going to give you guys any spoilers. Just, I mean, I'm thoroughly enjoying season 2. It has made me want to go back and play Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
It has made me want them to, release some action figures. I mean, I know they released a few action figures for season 1, but I'd love to see some action figures for season 2.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to see where they're going to take the whole storyline with Mr. House. So.
Yeah, everyone here knows that Dad and I are huge Fallout fans. It is,
Yeah.
I think, as much as I argue and, I'm banging on the fence when it comes to Bethesda as a studio these days, I have to admit, Elder Scrolls and Fallout are probably two of my favorite IPs ever made ever. Like, not even close.
Yeah.
I love them. There's Lord of the Rings is way up here, and then it's like Fallout and Elder Scrolls. I think Fallout might nudge it out a little bit just because it's so interesting, and for its time, it was so different.
Right.
No spoilers again, especially even I'm not even going to give game spoilers because this show, which again follows the games in like the lore, it doesn't like retract on any canon like at all. Like, I love
Yeah.
that they're not rewriting, what certain factions are or characters are, or
Right.
like they're not undoing lore like a Rings of Power did, where they're like literally retconning entire races and entire conflicts to be different. This
Yeah.
show does not shy away from how evil some of these corporations are, and some of these
Oh, yeah.
these monsters and these species and these groups of people are. I mean, it is fantastic.
I, I love the fact that they've leaned into Vault Tech and the experiments in the different vaults.
Oh, it's awesome, dude.
Yeah, which was great. I love the fact that they're paying homage to that from the games in the show.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just starting to touch we're just starting to kind of lean in. I mean, we saw a little bit of it in season 1, but season 2 we're getting a lot more. You're finding out Vault-Tec's perspective and why they were doing it and what it was for and everything else. So
Yeah.
that's kind of neat. I mean, it just re-edifies in my mind. Vault-Tec was a bunch of evil bastards.
Yeah, I mean, it's
really
fun.
were.
Like, some of the coolest things you can do in the game, I still remember, like, when you find another vault. There's always this feeling of, like, oh my god, like, what's going to be in here every time? It's like a loot box, but the loot box is full of cool shit. And they have that, like, finding, like, not only seeing other vaults, but then learning about the different experiments that Vault-Tec was doing, or even when you go back to the flashbacks and you're seeing like the interplay between Vault-Tec and Robco and all these companies that are kind of doing this, it's super cool. I love how just faithful the show is to the game and the source material in general. Walton Goggins is, I mean, I don't know if there's another movie star right now that I love more than him. He hits everything. He does everything well every time. It's not even close. He's so good.
He hits everything out of the park. He doesn't.
He's incredible. I mean, ever since his Justified Days as Boyd Crowder, he has been my favorite movie star. Not even close. Him and Timothy Olyphant together. I'd love to see Timothy Olyphant make a guest appearance in Fallout as like a bounty hunter.
Right? I would love to see him. Do that. A bounty hunter, or maybe like the leader of a settlement or something.
It would be so, because like they're friends in real life and they're in stuff all the time. I just think that would be so fun. But anyways, if you haven't seen Fallout for some reason, you know, my girlfriend has seen it. She loves it. You know, she had never seen or played Fallout. I remember when the show got announced, her saying, "Oh, I'm sure you're gonna have fun watching that," because she just didn't think she'd have any interest in it because she had never played the games. And then she watched the first season with me, and she was like, "Oh my god, that's actually why she watched the Last of Us show." Because she said, "Is there any other video game shows out there?" And I said, "Well, it's funny because if you had asked me 5-10 years ago, I would have told you that every video game adaptation isn't even worth your time. But now we have Last of Us and Fallout in the same like calendar year coming out. It is incredible." So, anyways,
my wife's not a big sci-fi fan. She's familiar with sci-fi through immersion with being around me. So she doesn't really watch Stargate, though she's kind of familiar. She does like Battlestar Galactica. That's the one thing she's a big fan of. Not a big fan of Star Wars or anything like that. But she got to play the Fallout tabletop RPG game before the show ever came out. So that gave her firsthand experience of what the universe was like. So when the show came out, she was totally on board. We sat down and watched the episodes together every single time they made a debut, and she loves the show.
I mean, it's so good. Like, I just love Fallout, man. Like, I wish, you know, I feel like it's finally getting its, like, deserved praise. Because there was so long, like, you and I played Fallout every day, all the time. We talked about it on the weekends. And, like, no one outside of, like, a very niche set of gamers even really talked about Fallout. And when the show was coming out, I was telling people, like, "Oh, that looks interesting." I'm like, dude, there's, like, 20 years of games about this. And there's all this stuff. But, like, you know, I've got all the Fallout. Like, I've got stuff from Etsy. I've got a light-up Nuka-Cola lamp that's, like, a little rocket ship bottle that lights up on my desk. And all kinds of stuff. So, anyway. I could talk about Fallout all night, but I'll just leave it with, if you haven't seen it, please watch it. Like, please support these projects that are faithful to the source material. Because and that, like, Fallout got a season 2 before season 1 was even over because people were gushing about it. And honestly,
season 3 is already greenlit.
And like, honestly, I was scared because season 1 was so good. And when they hinted, like, "Oh, we're going to New Vegas," I'm like, I'm so excited, but I'm so scared that they're gonna misstep somewhere. And I am happy to say it's only gotten better the more I've watched it. It's only better.
Yeah, it's been pretty seamless. So let's get into our extra loot section before we drone on for another hour about Fallout.
It's easy.
Yeah, if you're still with us, thank you. So we want to talk about what's coming soon. We're going to be doing some more shorts.
Yep.
My Instagram thing, we're going to pivot a little bit like we talked about last time. We're going to put up some DM tips, some DM feedback, and some opportunities for other DMs to sound off and give advice on Instagram, because the algorithm has changed over there. They've limited you to 5 hashtags, which limits your exposure. And I mean, we've dropped off almost 50% on viewership from unique viewers over there because of it. But you know, anyway, but we are still getting new followers, which is good. We are going to be putting up some shorts from our games, the Master and Apprentice games over on YouTube. We've already got 3 up over there now. Those have already both all of them have hit over 20 views, so that's pretty cool. But we'll be building some more of those up as we play along.
Yep.
I'll try to get some permission from the guys in the Order of the Flagon group to see if they're interested in maybe having a few shorts kind of put up. I could stream part of the game. Yeah, not stream it, but record it and send it over to Steven for some editing. Maybe pull some interesting parts out of that. I got to get permission first. So
yeah, we're cranking on content, man. I mean, we said this year we would really want to,
really
we were going to hit the gas pedal. I feel like we're doing well. Part of what we're both busy outside of this project, obviously, but it's it's manageable. We're having fun with it, which helps. I've gotten to the point that I can edit and do things a lot quicker now. So we're really hoping, guys are enjoying the content, because, this is our hobby, our side project, our passion. It's like everything rolled into one now. And now that I've looped my friends in, it's kind of like become, again, if we're not working and we're not, doing house projects or with our family, our loved ones, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing behind the scenes. It's things that you guys haven't even seen yet or know about. We're doing that, scheduling things. I mean, it's all we're doing. So we're having fun, but hope you guys are liking the cadence as we've picked it up a little bit.
Okay. So back to Fallout, we had a fun question for each other, and what Steven posted was, if you got to choose one perk from any of the Fallout games that you could take into a TTRPG campaign, that whether it's funny, functional, or game-breaking, what one would you like to take? And the first thing that came to my mind was the Lone Wanderer perk. When you get that, you automatically reduce incoming damage to your character by 15%, and you up your encumbrance by 50.
If you don't have a companion.
If you don't have a companion, because that can be a little game-breaking. To automatically reduce damage by 15%. I mean, you add that to some other things that allow you to lower damage or minimize damage, like or wear power armor. I mean, it can be broken. I definitely see that as something that would go into a D&D game, especially 5e. So it would be a little game breaking, I think, but it would be a fun part to try.
Well, hey, for a game where you're playing a solo campaign, anyways, just take Lone Wanderer and you got 15% less damage. Mine, of course, err on the side of ridiculous, as you can imagine.
Okay.
My favorite perk of any video game ever is the Mysterious Stranger. I love that perk. Yeah. And if you imagine you're like playing D&D or whatever, you get jumped by an orc, you go to hit him, you get initiative, you roll a 20, and just like some angel flies down and just fucking slices them in half and blows them to pieces or whatever. And that's your Mysterious Stranger.
We actually at our TTRPG for Fallout had a guy that took that perk.
That perk, I love that. I love the flavor of that perk. The dude with the trench coat, the 44, just bam! It's so sick.
The fedora pulled down.
It's just so. It's such a fun. It's so fun.
Noir. It was so noir. It was so kitschy, but
it's like so Fallout, right? Like the flavor is just so good. My next perk, another one I have a lot of fun with in Fallout, is Bloody Mess. If you don't know what Bloody Mess is, I think there's like a 15% chance when you crit that just you blow the enemy to pieces.
It just explodes.
Yeah, so it's like, imagine like rolling a rogue with Bloody Mess, and it's like you crit somebody, and it's like even though they're full health, they just blow up. Just like blood and guts everywhere. That would be awesome.
Play with blood, limbs, and you name it. So
that'd be awesome.
I like it. The next one was, are there any wizards in D&D lore that can match the wizards like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings? So my first gut instinct was, okay, well, how fair is that question? Because Gandalf isn't really a person. Gandalf is a Maiar.
Olorin the Maiar.
He's a Maiar who's been sent down to the world, and he takes on a human form. But let's face it, he's not really human. But my first impression was the first NPC character created by Mr. Ed Greenwood, and that would be Elminster of Shadowdale, the Great Mage, the Arch Wizard of Shadowdale. He reminds me a lot of Gandalf in the way he's played, and I'm sure, he came along before Gandalf. So you can't really say that Gandalf was inspired, that Elminster was inspired by Gandalf. But I like that Elminster doesn't take a direct role in a lot of things. He kind of encourages and coaches and kind of mentors other people to do these things, because he's kind of had to step back because of who and what he is. He used to be a chosen of Mystra, so the power creep is there. but then you're comparing high magic setting to a low magic setting like Lord of the Rings. But that was my first instinct. What about you, Steven?
You know that kind of stuff much better than I do, so I'll give that one to you. I know Lord of the Rings much better. I know, like, obviously Sauron, Radagast, the blue wizards that went to like
The
Harad
East,
in
and
the
we
Far
never hear
East.
about again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Sauron and Gandalf. The Maiar, Olorin the Maiar is Gandalf. He is, I think, one of the favored Maiar. I can't remember the name of
Yes.
the Valar that he serves, but he is basically the second in command to that Valar. He's extremely strong. Um,
Yes.
and I think by just some of the rules of the Valar, he's not really able to use
Mhm.
his power to full strength because he's not meant to, right? He's meant to guide men and
Right.
guide the forces of good through Middle
Right.
Earth to do the right thing. Um, and I guess a lot of wizards just seem like they follow because I mean the Lord of the Rings was written so long ago. It's written in the 30s, 19, in the 30s. So Gandalf is just this. I feel like he is the wizard template for like everybody that writes a wizard. Um,
Right.
but again, you don't really get to see a lot of his like max power. You don't get to see Gandalf like other than killing the Balrog, which he didn't really do with magic, honestly. Um, you don't get to see him at his full strength, so it's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, you had a question here about D&D Honor Amongst Thieves.
Well, so I just think if there is a sequel, which it's been baited before, people have talked about it before, but if there ever was one, would there be a place you would want them to go?
Okay.
Obviously, they led at the end of the first movie. They kind of led you to believe they were going to Thay to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
That's
can't.
Sam.
That's him, Zastam. Because by the way, I loved his brief. I guess you'd call it a brief kind of sneak peek of him in the
Cameo.
first movie.
Yeah.
I loved
Yeah.
the way that he looked in his like projection to his wizard.
Yeah.
I think he's so cool. I think like that character, he's terrifying, and the Red Priests
Oh
in
yeah.
general are such a fun enemy. So obviously, I guess if they did a second one, they would go to Thay. But if you could have, let's say you could make them go anywhere, where would you want them to go?
I would like to see Mithranor. Um, I would like to see now Mithranor when I first became familiar with Mithranor was the old box set for second edition. Mithranor was in ruins. It was filled with monsters, and you could go there and play and collect powerful magic items and try to liberate parts of the city. That was a lot of fun, but in Forgotten Realms canon, it was basically rebuilt and it's been destroyed again. So I think if you could do it in Mithranor and maybe have like they're looking for a specific artifact in the ruins of Mithranor or something, that would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I thought would be fun would be the Anarok Desert. When the Netherese Empire fell, a lot of their mountain cities, their mountaintop cities, fell into the Anarok Desert. So there's still people that go out into the Anarok, and they are archaeologists and explorers and adventurers that are looking for Netherese artifacts and items and magic and things like that. So that could play into it too, be a great plot hook for a movie. So that's where I would like to see it set. Then we talked about Elder Scrolls not having an official TTRPG.
Insane.
I think that somebody's definitely missing out on a potential gold mine. Um, but we did find in our explorations that there's an quote unquote unofficial TTRPG that's based on the lore of Skyrim
Mm-hmm.
and the Elden Ring and Elder Scrolls, and it is basically uses the 5e rules,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a game called Elder Scrolls Delvebound.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to post a link for that in our show notes. They have a really big book out for source material and stuff where you can actually play in the world of the Elder Scrolls
Mm-hmm.
using 5e rules. And it's supposed to be really well written. It's a passion project from some fans, and
Mm-hmm.
they saw a gap, they saw a need, and they filled it. So
Yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy
yeah.
that there isn't an official one because Fallout has one. But
Yeah.
if you don't play Skyrim or even ESO, which by the way, Elder Scrolls Online these days is so much better.
Oh
Which
yeah.
I've always liked ESO anyways, but they have introduced so much cool content. They've introduced subclasses. They've made a lot of the
Mhm.
original DLC content completely free, and they've moved to a seasonal model, which is really cool. Um,
Right.
so there's just like an unending amount of content for that game now since it's 11 years old and like all of it's free.
Yeah.
And you can buy it like I think like Madison got it for like $7 on sale, and we're talking like hundreds of hours of content. But anyways,
Yeah.
one of the questions I linked to this is if there ever was an official Elder Scrolls TTRPG, is there
Mhm.
a class or a mechanic or a location or any kind of lore or plot device that you associate to the Elder Scrolls mythos in general that you would find interesting for a tabletop game?
I mean, definitely Skyrim. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I have spent literally hundreds of hours in Skyrim, playing it, replaying it,
Mm-hmm.
playing different builds. I love the lore. I love the Dragonborn
Mm-hmm.
um, character idea. I like the fact of kind of being that legendary hero where you're running around and you're helping people and basically establishing, some kind of peace and harmony and trying to get rid of the bad guys. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. To me, it feels epic, and I would love to see them do something specifically for Tamriel and Skyrim.
I agree.
So,
So, and by the way, if people haven't played ESO in a while, like I haven't, they added Skyrim, a giant chunk of Skyrim to the map of ESO, and there's a whole Skyrim campaign now in the game, which is very cool. I think it centers
nice.
around vampires, but anyway.
Okay.
So mine is kind of a fun little thing that I thought of that I only have ever noticed in an Elder Scrolls game. Those are the Mundus stones. So if you remember in the
Okay.
game, you find the Mundus stones in the
Mhm.
world, and you can attune with them, and that gives your character kind of a different ability or kind of a different
Right.
flavor. And I thought for a game
Yeah.
like D&D, where you're kind of like you roll your character, that's your character, like that's it,
Hmm.
which is fine. But I think it'd be kind of cool to have a Mundus stone mechanic where you're out in the world and you discover a monolith, and it's like, hey, if you interact with this monolith, you get 15% better sneak, or you get 5 strength or 2 strength or something because this is the barbarian
Right.
stone or whatever. And
Right.
as you go like throughout the world, maybe you find different stones, and it's like you have to choose one. So if you move to a different one, oh, I'd rather have this, you choose that. But
Yeah. I lose that ability. And,
it kind of give you a way to like, not only does it like kind of encourage exploration because you want to find all the Mundus stones and find all the different powers you can get. It gives you a way
Mhm.
to kind of shift into maybe a new, I wouldn't say a whole new build, but maybe a different way to play your
Pick up a
build,
different
or
ability
like
or a different
like
skill
even
set.
if it's
Yeah.
like utility based, like it doesn't need to be all combat related. So anyway, I
Mhm.
thought that'd be kind of a fun thing you don't really see in a tabletop game as a way to kind of like
Mhm.
reallocate some abilities or move some stuff around that way.
Yeah. I like it. That's a good idea. Maybe something we work into our MOM campaign.
You never know.
Never know. So that's going to be it for us for episode 18 of the MazeCast. We enjoy the fact that you guys all joined us here. We hope that you stuck it out to the end. If you did, we appreciate your patronage. We appreciate your support. We hope that you will consider smashing that like button for us, as that helps us get out there to more people. We hope that you will consider subscribing if you haven't done so. And please, please, please share with your friends, share with your followers. If you have your own channel, we would love to have more people here and get some more interaction and some more engagement from everybody. We'd like to know what you guys would like to see in the MazeCast, things you'd like us to follow up on or to delve into as a topic. We would always open and welcome to any suggestions that you guys might have, because this is about community for us.
Hmm.
So, with that, Stephen, what have you got for us going out?
I think that's everything. As Dad says, you keep the sword arm free. Can't wait to play D&D again. And we will see you guys in the maze very soon. Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody.